Concerns are mounting among tenants over the practice of demanding more than a year's rent in advance, which many say is taking a heavy toll on their finances. These concerns come at a time when Cabinet has approved a new rent bill aimed at reforming Ghana's rental housing sector. Tenants say exorbitant rent charges, among others, forces them to exhaust their savings simply to secure accommodation.
This 2 years rent is too much. You understand? Some people are selling pure water, some people are hawking. How can they afford 2 years? Straight up. So government should look into it. If 3 months, if for 7 monthly or 6 months, at least it will help people.
In Ghana here, you see a lot of landlords and landladies increasing their rents, not only increasing the rents, increasing the duration. Some will ask you 5 years in advance, some will ask you 10 years in advance, some will ask you to. The least you will get here in Ghana is 1 year.
The landlord or landwoman, you have to take it by 1 month to 6 months. That one is okay, because or 6 months to 1 year, it be okay. Because if you do a small job, you can't get 2 years rent. If you can't get 2 years, that means you go sleep floor, someone floor.
Now they see the rent for a Chema house self-contained, some 10,000 Ghana, some 500. So what can a small boy at the graduate where he can get 1,000 Ghana for 2 years? How?
In response to these concerns, the Public Relations Officer of the Rent Control Department, Emmanuel Posu, has outlined key areas the proposed rent bill seeks to address. He explained that the existing Rent Act of 1963 is outmoded and does not deal with the current challenges, as highlighted by some tenants.
We are proposing an independent assessment committee. People have the notion that rent officers alone cannot do the job. So now let's form a committee which will comprise landlords, a rep of Landlords Association, a rep of Tenants Association, any developer or surveyor within a district. It's going to be a district by district assessment committees, so that all these professionals will meet as and when to determine the rent that a tenant will pay, so that the landlord will not feel aggrieved that no, I'm being treated to collect or to take lower rent. Or tenant will come out and say that no, I'm being induced to pay higher rent. When the assessment committee comes on board and determine the rent, you know you had your rep there who has championed your interest. So at the end of the day, you accept. So these are some of the key features in the bill. Students who are paying huge hostel fees, okay, it's a problem. We started fighting, but there's no law backing it. So we'll go in there and then sit down with the university authorities and make sure they come out with a realistic hostel fees, as well as for the private ones too. We'll sit down with the committee, the independent assessment committee, so that all of you will come on the round table and discuss and come out with a realistic hostel fee. And just as I mentioned, the most important thing is that the 1963 law is outmoded, and there are features or new features in the rental industry which we have to move with time.
One controversial provision in the proposed bill is the criminalization of both landlords and tenants who engage in illegal rent advance agreements. Although many tenants are not in favor of this, the Rent Control Department are of the view that strict sanctions, including fines and other penalties, will discourage collusion and strengthen compliance.
We are capping it from monthly up to a maximum of 1 year. If you, the tenant, go to pay more than 2 years, you contravene the law. And if the landlord collects more than that stipulated amount or duration, the landlord also commit an offense against the law. When you look at the Offences Act under the bill, what we've capped there is that the general offense will attract a penalty of 300 Ghana cedis, which is 50 penalty units, to a maximum of 100 penalty units. 100 penalty units currently is 1,200. Or you'll be in prison for 3 months to 6 months. By the discretion of the magistrate can decide that I will fine and prison you at the same time. We will come out with a standardized tenancy agreement. We see a whole lot of different kinds of tenancy agreement, but the key issues or the ingredient that should be in a tenancy agreement we'll put before. If you want to add on, then that's fine. But there are some key features that must be in the tenancy agreement. So we'll come out with a standardized tenancy agreement. Rent is increased every 2 years. So no landlord has right to every 6 months or every year will increase rent. The second issue is that when a landlord proposes an increment to you, the tenant has right to come before the rent officer and apply for what we call an assessment. That assessment means that you are invoking us to come and look at the property and look at the amount that the landlord is charging you and see if they are in line.
With Parliament expected to consider the bill in the coming months, many tenants are hopeful the proposed bill will bring lasting relief to Ghana's strained rental housing market. But in all of these, enforcement will be key. For Joy Business, Sarah Atiemo's report read to you.